Good morning, students. So, today we will discuss our new chapter, that is measurement. Let's start our discussion today, that is measurement. So, measurement is the process of comparing an unknown quantity with a known fixed quantity. Okay, and the quantity that can be measured is called a physical quantity. For example, what is the length of eraser in centimeter? Okay, so here unknown quantity is the length of this eraser, and the known standard quantity is the graduations of this ruler. That is, if you have seen the ruler, it is graduated in terms of centimeter on one side and in terms of inches on the other side. So what is my known standard quantity? My known standard quantity is this centimeter, and the unknown quantity here is the length of the eraser. So if you wish to measure the length of the eraser, you can put the eraser like this. Okay, it's one end should coincide with the zero of the scale, and then you will measure till there, till the length of its, or till its next or end point. So what is the distance between these two endpoints will give you the length of the eraser in centimeter. So like we have compared this unknown quantity with the known fixed quantity, that is the centimeter. Then what is the mass of the pumpkin in kilograms? So pumpkin is our unknown quantity, and the mass is, and the kilogram is our known quantity. So whenever you put it on the spring balance or on the digital balance or even on the beam balance, the unit indicated by that balance is actually in terms of kg. So it will tell us that this pumpkin is, suppose here it is written as 4 kg, so it will tell us this pumpkin is of 4 kg. So 4 kg is our known quantity and standard quantity. Okay, kg is the standard quantity, and unknown quantity is this pumpkin, mass of the pumpkin. Similarly, third fundamental physical quantity, that is time. So you must have seen these type of instruments whenever you are measuring the time. So duration of an event is the unknown quantity. For example, whenever you are sitting in a class, the duration of the period is actually the unknown quantity for you. But that duration, if I said the period is of 40 minutes, that minute is our known standard quantity. So we are able to know that after 40 minutes indicated by the watch, the period is going to get over. Okay, so again this is our known quantity, that is time, and unknown quantity was the duration. So in the first, second and third activities, we measured the following quantities: length, mass and time. So these are known as the physical quantities because we actually can see and measure these quantities by using the instruments. So what is physical quantities? Those quantities that can be measured directly or indirectly are called as physical quantities. Few examples of physical quantities are, like we measure the length of the eraser, mass of the pumpkin, then time, or we can say duration for an event, then area, volume, temperature, etc. Okay, so these are the few physical quantities that we encounter in our day-to-day life. Okay, now the question comes, can we measure everything? Okay, we cannot measure the following, like happiness, sadness, anger, respect, beauty, love. Okay, these things we cannot measure. Okay, there is no scale which has been made which can measure the quantity of Okay, so these are our feelings. We cannot measure the feeling, we cannot measure how much happy a person is, how sad a person is actually, then what is, how much someone is angry, and what is the unit to measure the beauty of any person, or how much a person loves the other person. So these are the feelings that we cannot measure. So we can say that these are not physical quantities. So physical quantities are those quantities which can be measured, otherwise they are not known as the physical quantities. Now whenever we say that we will measure something, for that we need some units. Okay, so distinguish between the different type of measurements. For example, if we wish to measure the mass, we need the unit of mass, that is kg or gram or ton or quintal, for etc. Suppose if we wish to measure the length, then again we need some units like meter, centimeter, millimeter. So what is unit? A unit is a known quantity known as a standard for comparing the quantities of the same kind. Like I have said, kg, meter, second, these all are the units. So these are known as a known quantity, and when we compare it with the unknown quantity, we came to know the value of that physical quantity. Now when I said the value, so when suppose if you put a pumpkin on the spring balance and you got a value as 4 kg, so that 4 kg is known as the magnitude. So the value we get on measuring a physical quantity is called its magnitude. Okay, and magnitude can never be negative. Okay, magnitude should always be positive. So q is equals to n into u, where q is the magnitude of the physical quantity. Like when I said 4 kg. Okay, so in that 4 kg, 4 is the magnitude and n is the numerical value and u is the unit. So when I said 4 kg, so 4 kg is the magnitude. In this 4 kg, 4 is the numerical value and kg is the unit. So we can say that magnitude is the value we get on measuring a physical quantity, and it is actually giving us a comparison, that like when I said 4 kg, 4 kg means the pumpkin is 4 times heavier than a 1 kg weight. Now the term that is SI unit. Okay, so you must have studied about the system of units like CGS, MKS, SI. So SI unit is a unit that is accepted by scientists all over the world as a basic unit of measurement. Okay, so whenever we are whenever we are constructing anything which should be accepted all over the world, then in that case we have to put each and every measurement of that quantity in terms of the SI unit. For example, SI unit of mass is kg, SI unit of length is meter, SI unit of time always is second. So whenever, suppose if you are constructing, if you are making anything, then you have to write the measurement of each and every physical quantity of that object or that thing in terms of the SI unit only. Then only it will be accepted by the scientists all over the world. So SI unit is a unit that is accepted by scientists all over the world as a basic unit of measurement. Now first topic of this chapter is measurement of density. So the question is, what is the meaning of density? So density is actually the mass per unit volume of that object. That is, formula of density is mass upon volume. It is a physical property of matter. Then the sinking or floating of an object in the water depends on the its lightness or heaviness as compared to water. For example, if density of an object is less than water, in that case object is going to float, and if density of an object is greater than water, then the object is definitely going to sink. So this is the SI unit of density, as you already knew, that is read as kg per meter cube. and in the CGS the unit of density is gram per centimeter cube. One useful relation for you is 1 gram per centimeter cube is equals to 1000 kilogram per meter cube. This relation will be used whenever we solve few problems in your numericals. Now, the mass of the water of 1 centimeter cube at 4 degrees centigrade is 1 gram, and mass of the iron cube of volume of 10 centimeter cube is 78 grams. So you can see from this comparison that certainly the unit volume of iron contains very least amount of iron as compared to the water. As we already knew that equal masses of different substances have different volumes. For example, volume of cotton will be much larger than the volume of an equal mass of lead, or you can take equal mass of iron, because in case of the metals the particles are closely packed, while those in case of the cotton they are very loosely packed. So we can say that equal masses of different substances have equal volumes. Here are a few examples. So you can see that in all the three cases mass is same, but the volume of different substance have different volume. A few more examples in front of you. 1 kg of coin occupies least volume as compared to 1 kg of flour. Then equal masses have unequal volumes, and aluminium and gold, since gold has much more density than the aluminium, so again you can see the volume of aluminium is greater than the volume of gold for the equal mass. Okay, now first, how to measure the density of a regular solid. So a regular mass of regular solid or any object you can measure by using the beam balance or digital balance, whatever is in front of you, whatever is available with you. So volume of solid you can measure by this standard formula. These are the few standard formulas of the regular shapes. For example, if cube is there, you can use the side cube. Then volume of cuboid if you want to find, then you can use L into B into H. Like this, volume of sphere is there, volume of cylinder, volume of cone. So for the regular shapes you can use these standard formulas. After measuring the mass and the volume, you can use this formula, density is equals to mass upon volume. So you can easily get the density of an object. For example, suppose if you have a cubical block of suppose iron or wood, then you can measure its mass using the beam balance or digital balance, and you can measure these edges of the cuboid, then you can easily calculate the volume of the cuboid. While knowing the mass as well as the volume, you can easily calculate the density of that wooden mass. Okay, then how if suppose you have to measure the density of irregular solid. For example, I give you a stone and you have to measure the density of that stone. Then which method we will use? We will use the displacement method. So first of all, what we need in order to measure the density? We need mass as well as volume. So mass you can measure using the beam balance or digital balance, and volume of the solid you can measure by this displacement method. You take a measuring cylinder and measure its reading as V1. Then you take another measuring cylinder and you dip the stone inside it, and then you will measure the volume. Let its volume is V2. So we know that whatever the volume is displaced in this water, that will be equivalent to the volume of that stone. So you can use the formula density equals to mass upon volume, and volume of this stone you can take as V2 minus V1. Then 1 ml is equals to 1 centimeter cube. So you can easily convert this ml into centimeter cube and you will get the density of the stone. Second method, which is which is given in your book, is you can also measure the density of irregular objects using a Eureka cane. So how does a Eureka cane look like? It look like this. Okay, it is a container having one spout. Now how you will measure the density of an object using the Eureka cane? So you can measure the mass of that object again using the beam balance or digital balance. Then what you will do, you will keep a measuring cylinder in front of the Eureka cane. So when you dipped a object inside this Eureka cane, the water is going to spill out from this spout and it will start filling into this measuring cylinder. So this excess of the water which comes out from the spout, this volume of this water will be equal to the volume of this object whose volume you want to measure. So now you can measure the reading from this measuring cylinder. You will get the volume of this irregular solid. You can measure the mass again using the digital balance or beam balance. Then you can use the again formula, mass of the stone or mass of the object upon volume of the object. Mass you will get from the beam balance and V you will get from the displaced volume from the Eureka cane. Okay, this is how you can measure these are the two methods. One is the displacement method and one was the Eureka cane method. So next is measurement of density of liquid. Now again, in order to measure the density, what we need? Mass as well as volume of that certain substance. So here is the way by which you can here is the activity by which you can measure the density of the certain liquid. First of all, what you can do, you can measure the mass of this empty cylinder by using the beam balance or digital balance. Let this mass is suppose m1. Now what you will do, you will pour the liquid inside this cylinder till whatever level you want. Suppose if you wish to fill this measuring cylinder till here, so from here you will take the reading and that will be your volume, and this measuring cylinder filled with the water. Now you will use again beam balance to measure the mass of this measuring cylinder. This mass contains the mass of this liquid as well. So what you will do, you will calculate the mass of the liquid by subtracting this calculated mass m2 from the previous mass. So what will be your density? Mass of the liquid upon volume. So we can also measure the density of liquid using the density bottle. Okay, this is the density bottle. It has a thin walled glass bottle with a stopper. Okay, this is the stopper having a fine hole. What we will do, we will measure the mass of this empty bottle and that mass we will assume as m1. Now what again next step will be, we will fill this density bottle with the liquid whose density we wish to measure and determine its mass. Let that mass be m2. Now we will again fill this bottle with the water, because since water is having the density of 1 gram per centimeter cube at 4 degrees centigrade, so that will be our reference density. So we will clean this bottle thoroughly and fill the mass of the bottle and let this mass is m3. Now what will be the mass of the liquid? m2 minus m1. And what will be the volume of that liquid? m3 minus m1. This volume of liquid we have calculated using the mass into density. So what will be the density of the liquid in that case? That will be the mass of the liquid upon volume of the liquid, and mass of the liquid is m2 minus m1 upon volume will be m3 minus m1. Since density we are considering as 1 gram per centimeter cube, so volume you will calculate at mass upon density. So this you will get as m2 minus m1 upon m3 minus m1. So this will be the density of the liquid using the density bottle. Then next comes the relative density concept. So what is the meaning of relative density? It is the ratio of density of the substance to the density of the water at 4 degrees centigrade. Okay, we always take the reference density is as density of water, because density of water at 4 degrees centigrade is 1 gram per centimeter cube or 1000 kg per meter cube. So this will be your relative density of substance upon density of water at 4 degrees centigrade. Now next we will discuss how the change in density takes place in all the three states of the matter. So as we know that in case of the solid, intermolecular space is the least and highest will be in case of the gases. So what we know that whenever the mass per unit volume is larger. That means a unit volume contains larger number of particles, and which is only possible in case of the solids because they have least intermolecular space. So we can say that density of the substance is highest in case of the solids, and it will be least in case of the gases, because in case of the gases particles have highest intermolecular space. But this phenomena is quite contradictory in case of the water, as we already knew that whenever you increase the temperature of a certain substance, it is going to expand. But in case of the water, if you take the water at 0 degrees centigrade and you start heating it, so we find there is one observation that in the temperature range from 0 degree to 4 degrees centigrade, it contracts instead of expanding, and contract means the density of the water increases, and when you heat it further above 4 degrees centigrade, its volume starts increasing. That means density of the water decreases. So here water is contradictory from that fact that in case of the solids the density is maximum, and in case of the liquids the density is less. So we can say that when the temperature is increasing from 0 to 4 degrees centigrade, instead of expanding, contraction is taking place. So this expansion of water when it is cooled from 4 degree to 0 degree centigrade is known as anomalous expansion of the water, and this expansion of water helps to preserve the aquatic life during very cold weather. That is why there is a water below the layer of the ice in the cold places, like this. Okay, so these are the topics that we have discussed, and rest of the topics we will discuss on the next week. Thank you.